recall. Yes. Now, there was some executive orders, number 11111. Yeah, the assistance for removal of obstruction of justice and a suppression of unlawful combinations within the state of Alabama. Oh, this happened in 1963? Yes, it was an executive order. Ooh. Now, it looks to me like we need an executive order from the White House, yes, to suppress the obstruction of justice of Washington State. Now, you know when you get named in one of these, yes, executive orders. I know when they name the whole state, they don't just name the county, and it might be that the Trump administration doesn't understand that obstructing justice and refusing to suppress those that were rendering criminal assistance, yes, it doesn't look good for the White House. Now, did the president find out about this? I know you're president of the United States, and your thought was, well, I'm not issuing one of these executive orders. But it looked like there were some problems in Mississippi. Yes, Alabama. Oh, back in the 60s during a civil rights movement. Now let's say that these requirements of the law, yeah, I have wanted to speak to my sons for 7 years and 2 months, yes, but they didn't think it was necessary to protect my right to due process in 2011, right? Then they arrested me for violating the protection order that was fraudulently issued, yes, but I was found not guilty, but they reissued it by minute order. And then it says mail or publication 2013. Yes. But the sheriff's office in Sequim, Washington called me before the court hearing. Yes. And then in 2015, you decided to reissue it with or without the actual signature of the petitioner. Without any attempt of service. Yes. And using forgeries. Yeah. Fraud. Contempt of court. Then you've arrested me multiple times for crimes I haven't committed. Now let's say that Donald Trump, President of the United States, doesn't want to issue an executive order against the state of Washington when I've emailed every person in the state legislature. I've emailed the Washington State Patrol. I emailed every sheriff in every county of the state of Washington. Oh, and every judge in the Supreme Court directory. And none of them, there wasn't a one of them that wanted to actually suppress the insurrection against the laws of the United States. Now, let's say I find out tomorrow, yes, that the president does know, and he's like, I'm not issuing an executive order. I'm like, well, if you don't, you're going to prison as the president of the United States. Now, I know when you get there, okay, you probably think, well, it's a minimum security prison. It's nice, is it? I know Martha Stewart's just laughing her ass off because she probably does know Donald Trump, considering his television personality. Now, it's something when you have a really good business career and you've had a very successful show, you're fired. Pow! And you're sitting there thinking, I'm not issuing this executive order, but it's against the whole state. And this is not a civil rights movement. No, that happened in the 60s. This is an actual insurrection, a conspiracy against the actual enforcement of the laws. Now, it's one thing to get sued for refusing to enforce the requirements of the law. Isn't that right? Every elected judge and every Superior Court judge and every District Court judge in the state of Washington. Isn't that something? Now I'm going to get to fund some new legislation where we go through and we find out who was it that paid to get you elected. Pooch! Now let's say you have knowledge of somebody that's having their rights violated. Their sons were abducted or their children. Yes, there's fraud involved in the use of the state court seal. Poo-poo! And you as an American citizen look at some new legislation that I personally am paying for in every state of the United States that when you report any judge, any court commissioner, that they did not do what the law requires, they can be immediately arrested and imprisoned. I'm sorry, but your judicial commissions don't work. Your bar association